Welcome back to my views on News Friday's first news story is from the Oromia region of Ethiopia, where OLA fighters broke into a prison and they freed more than 100 prisoners. This is the second jailbreak or attack on a prison by OLA in around 3 weeks. Secondly, Raya, southern Tigray, where dozens have been arrested in a city. It is being reported by some news outlets. What is the reason behind these arrests in the city of Raya under the control of Amhara regional government, Amhara forces? Thirdly, a viewers sent me an email with an attached video. The video shows Eritrean youth separating after completion of their training at Sawa. He said, Sajid, you always present Sawa as a sort of nightmare for youth. But the video shows how hard separation is for those who were trained there. I have this video and my views as well about the video. Firstly, viewers, Oromo Liberation Army broke into another prison around 48 hours ago. So far, it has not been reported by any news outlet, I think. And around 150 prisoners were freed by OLA there. The incident happened in Guji, and in Guji there is Gaddabi district, Gaddabi town. In Gaddabi, OLA fighters entered, they surrounded the prison, and they carried out an attack on a camp as well, camp of forces there, government forces. They captured weapons, and then they released prisoners, around 150. OLA says the released prisoners are political prisoners. They were not criminals. That is what OLA says after it releases prisoners. We have seen that in Western Oromia too, that whenever OLA carries out an attack on a prison to free the prisoners, it always says that those were political prisoners, not criminals. If you remember, just around 2 weeks ago, OLA fighters entered Bolehora, a main city in southern Oromia, main town. And there they carried out an attack on a main prison in Bolehora. OLA claims it freed 2,000 prisoners from Bolehora prison. But local officials confirmed the escape of around 480 prisoners. So hundreds were freed back then. And Bolehora is also in southern Oromia. Gaddabi also in southern Oromia. And we know that OLA fighters, they relocated from some parts of southern Oromia to eastern Oromia, East Harage, etc. But still, the two incidents prove that OLA has its presence in southern Oromia. It is able to carry out attacks on prison, and prisoners are being released. No statement from the government so far. When OLA freed prisoners from Bolehora a few days ago, there was no report from any government source. Later, after a few days, BBC did a new story about Bolehora prison attack. So our sources are confirming that attack did happen in Gaddabi, in which dozens of prisoners were freed by Oromo Liberation Army. Secondly, our second news story is from southern Tigray, also called Raya. Amhara region calls it Raya, Tigray calls it southern Tigray, disputed territory between Tigray and Amhara regions. And here, Voice of America is reporting, Tigray-backed news sources are reporting that dozens have been arrested in Alamata. Alamata is the main city in Raya, and around 40 arrests are being reported in Alamata. It is being reported that the arrested persons are civilians. So far, no details have been shared by local government about arrests. Why were they arrested? Why were the people, 40 individuals arrested in Alamata? It's not clear. DWTV claims that the arrests are done because of ethnic identity of the people. So DW is claiming that mainly Tigrayans were arrested, and Tigray-backed news sources are calling upon federal government to play its role in the release of these people who were arrested by Amhara forces, reportedly Amhara local government officials. Amhara Special Force, Amhara Regional Forces, though they were told to withdraw from some parts of Raya, and they did withdraw from some parts of Raya, but it's not that they are fully out of Raya. They have their presence in some parts of southern Tigray, Raya. The area is disputed. And 2 days ago, Alamata mayor was arrested by Ethiopian National Defense Force. People protested, he was released. So a lot is happening in Alamata, Raya zone, and talk of a referendum was also spread a few days ago that Raya, 6 Waradas were planning to send a letter to House of Federation for a referendum. But then Alamata mayor opposed the idea of referendum. He said only a political decision was required to determine the future status of Raya. In an interview, he opposed referendum. Then he was arrested and released, and now 40 civilians arrested in Alamata. And so far, government has not made it clear what is going to be the mode when it comes to resolution of Tigray-Amhara conflict over Alamata, over Raya. Will talks be held? When will talks be held? Who will participate? No details shared by the government. That is why uncertainty is there. No one knows what will happen in Raya and Volkai. Thirdly, viewers, an Eritrean viewer shared a video with me showing Eritrean youth at Sawa, a training camp. We know that Eritrean students, they have to report at Sawa, and they cannot get intermediate degree without completing their training, military training at Sawa. And that is why it is called conscription, because education and military training have been made linked by the Eritrean government. Eritrean government is of this view that Sawa is the backbone of Eritrean unity, that Eritrea was faced with a much larger rival, and that is Ethiopia. Eritrea is a smaller country. That is why Eritrea made military service mandatory. That was the only way to protect the country, because Eritrea was not in a position to raise to have a big army. So it made military service mandatory. That is how it trained all its youth, and it protected its borders. But Eritrean youth, how does the youth see Sawa? The video shows Eritrean youth, girls, separating, I think, after the conclusion of their training. They can be seen hugging, crying, so they are not happy that they are leaving, they are separating. Now, people say that it's a nightmare for the youth to attend Sawa. The viewer said, Sajid, you have also been saying that. But you see that the youth are so depressed that they don't want to leave Sawa. Well, firstly, I am not against military training of youth. Eritrea, Eritrean government, every country has a right to train its youth. Only problem is that education, studies and military training have been linked, which is unfair for the youth. Secondly, no matter where people are, when people are released from prisons, sometimes they hug each other, they cry as well. It's because of their internal bond. It's not because of their love for the place where they had to live. So the video cannot be seen as a proof that the youth who are leaving love the place. They loved each other maybe. In time of crisis, bonds develop between people who are facing the same sort of challenges. Having said that, what is good about Sawa is that training is not along ethnic lines, not along religious lines as well. That is one of the main differences between courses adopted by Sawa and Meles Zenawi. Meles Zenawi adopted the course of ethnic federalism. Sawa opposed ethnic federalism. So that is why we are seeing ethnic problems in Ethiopia. And Ethiopia, TPLF had a reason to adopt the course because they fought Amhara dominance. That is why when they came to power, they tried to impose ethnic federalism, which is not working as well. Eritrea became separate as a country. So it wasn't facing Amhara dominance. That is why it was in a position to take the country along non-ethnic lines. And that is how Eritrean military is trained, not along ethnic or religious lines. Watch the video shared by the viewer with me. Thank you for watching.